All right. Give this a second to catch up here. Let's get some. Okay, going. All right. Looks like we're going. And I think I can hear myself too, so that must mean you guys can hear me. How's everybody doing tonight? Been a minute. I tried to stream a couple weeks ago. Unfortunately, my internet went out that day, which was a drag because I was going to look at some Baki comics and some other stuff, but we'll have to do that another time. But tonight, really excited to talk to everybody for a little bit about a bunch of exciting things. Most importantly, ERIS, my comic ERIS has come out, meaning I guess I got my books from Kickstarter, or from the printer. This was Kickstarted in the summer, and books have been shipping out already, so we'll talk about that a little bit. And then also today, on Entertainment Weekly, you might have seen there's an article about their new horror line of books, and I will be doing a book with Kenny Porter called Operation Iron Coffin, which is what this artwork here is from. So I got some of that I'm going to show off, talk about that project. And then we'll spend a little bit of time looking through this Masamune Shirow art exhibition catalog from the exhibition The Ghost in the Shell and the Path of Creation, the world of Masamune Shirow. So this is from a show that was in Japan. So we'll take a look through this as well. So we got a lot of cool things to check out. So if you haven't already, liked, subscribed, hit the bell, all that kind of stuff, that would be great. You know, I try to get on here on Tuesdays when I can and do some cool look-throughs of comics or art books, talk about projects I'm working on, and then usually we'll try to do a little bit of drawing too while we're on here. So I hope you guys are stoked like I am to see some of this stuff. So let's make a little bit of room here. Oh, hey, another cool thing I'll show off. I just got the new issue of the Full Bleed zine, which is a zine that a couple buddies of mine, Tony and Ed, do. And it is a great zine. You can pick it up at a lot of Chicago retailers, and it tells you a guide to what's going on in horror. It's got franchise files where they look at critters. There's a drawing I did of the critters. Really cool thing. I think they have an Instagram as well. But yeah, Full Bleed online. You can just take a look at them. Full Bleed zine. This is really cool. Let's see what's going on with the chat here. Kova's Lookout. Yo, can't wait to get my copy of ERIS. Also, congrats on the new series. Can't wait to pick it up. Scoot Carnes. Thanks, Kova. Books are being shipped right now as we speak. Got that book. Love it, says Jeremy. Oh, you got it too, huh? Wow. Cool, man. Congrats on the new book, says Jeremy. Well, I didn't realize other people had that book. I thought it was hard to get, but maybe not. So first, let's talk about ERIS. ERIS is my science fiction comic, science fiction action comic. We ran an awesome Kickstarter back in, I believe it was July, and hit our funding goals, hit all of our stretch goals, and this is the final product. So I'm not going to spoil too much because it is going to backers right now, but guys, let me tell you, it looks even better in person than it does on video here. We have a soft touch cover, so the cover has like a soft coating on it, and that transitions really well into these, maybe hard to see on the stream here, painted edges. So all the edges of the book that are paper edges are pink. And then we have a spot varnish on the logo and on the characters and on the back cover here on the rating. So this is what it looks like. It's 140 plus pages, and it has a reprint of the first two chapters, which had been printed before, and then a third chapter, which is just as long as the others, which is also included in here. I tell you, y'all, this is one of those rare moments where when these arrived, it looked even better than I could have hoped. It all the things that I had hoped for with the combination of the colors and the varnishes and the painted edges and everything, it all just came together to make a really beautiful book. And I don't like to toot my own horn, but I think this is a very beautiful book, and I'm very proud that people are going to have this in their hands soon. and I really hope that people enjoy it. So not only is the book include all those things, there's some new design touches. You know, all the interior design stuff has been sort of revamped. The first chapter, which you see here, got all new letters, new lettering, and maybe a couple small minor color upgrades from the first printing that it had. So these are all in here. And man, look at the way some of these printed is just it's blowing my mind here. So here's the chapter 2 interlude / cover spread that we have, and man, oh man, it printed so nice, y'all. Like, I can't believe how nice some of this stuff printed. Here's some of my favorite pages here. Double page spreads look great. All the oranges and reds and magentas have been printed really well. The paper has a great feel to it. It's kind of a matte coating that's not too shiny, so everything pops, but it's not so hard to see that the light's always reflecting off of it. But yeah, really cool. And then I'll show you a couple just quick shots of some chapter 3 stuff. Here's the opening of chapter 3, the conclusion of the book. We've got some really fun visual stuff going on in it, really great character moments. I think everyone's really going to dig it. And then in the back, I'll show you a couple previews here. We have some source book material, so you get to learn a little bit about the world of ERIS, different factions, different characters. Here's a couple awesome ones. Here's one by Edison Neo, another one by my buddy Dave Acosta. The first one there was by Minerva Fox. And then here's the alternate cover by Daniel Warren Johnson. That'll be on the cover of the other copies that I have. I don't have one of those next to me right now. But if you guys have ordered one, they are going to be, you know, I got giant boxes over there. I've shipped out about 2/3 of the orders. I'm hoping to have 80 to 90% of it shipped out by the end of the week, and the rest of it will ship out the week after. And I wish I could tell you who's getting what when, but the only thing I could say for sure is that the last people to fill out their surveys are probably the last people that get their books. But a lot of the stuff has already gone out, and people should be getting it this week and next week. Let's see here. Cova's Lookout said, what printer did I go through? I printed these through Print Ninja. They have an office here in the north side of Chicago, and they print overseas. And I've worked with them a few times, and everything I get printed with them always turns out really gorgeous. This is just a particularly good-looking book compared to the other ones that I've done with them. But they have amazing customer service, great guides on how to get your printing set up, great guides on all the different options that they offer, video tutorials. I mean, so many things about printing. Part of it is the quality of the printer, but another part of it is just dealing with the printer and talking to them. And something that Print Ninja is really great about is the customer service is really great. And the customer service is all here, local. And so it's much easier to kind of get answers and talk to people that have some knowledge. Whereas sometimes when you work with overseas printers, you're dealing with a lot of intermediaries that don't have a customer service kind of goal. So there you go. Jeremy highlight the edges. Yes, Jeremy, the edges. I believe, Jeremy, your book is going out maybe this week as well. But I'm so stoked about this. Again, these are going out to Kickstarter backers first, and then once all Kickstarter backers have had their books sent to them, I will make this available on my website for other people to purchase. There is a main cover, and then there's also the Daniel Warren Johnson cover, which looks like this, but you know, on the book. So I'm just so excited about this. This weekend we did an event a couple events. I did an event up at Howling Pages here in the Portage Park, Chicago. It was so much fun. It's an awesome store. Alan there is great. So if you want to pick up my book, the shops that are getting it will get it too before it's on the website. So it's going to be at Howling Pages and Challengers and a couple other spots as well. Thanks everybody who came out on Tuesday for the talk that Friday for the talk I did at Howling Pages. I did an artist talk and signing, and then also met some people at In This Issue Comics in Bettendorf, Iowa this last weekend for a signing and a store anniversary sale that they had there, and that was tons of fun. If you were out at that or out at the other event, thanks for stopping by and saying hi. And then, of course, we got our quotes on the back here, too. We got a Daniel Warren Johnson quote, Aubrey Sitterson, and Matt Bors. My pals really did some nice quotes for us. But I'm really happy about it. Here's the spine, very simple. The complete collection, and then canon. That's all you need to know. name of the book down here. But I'm really happy about this, everybody. And I can't wait for you guys to get it in your hands as well. All right, so the next thing I wanted to talk about is Operation Iron Coffin. So some of you folks might have seen that I posted earlier today, so did Kenny and IDW and some other folks, that my next project has been revealed. It is Operation Iron Coffin, which I am doing with Kenny Porter, who's an amazing writer that I've worked with on The Schlub in the past, with Ryan Stegman and Kenny Porter. And then Kenny and I have actually pitched a bunch of books together, but none of them have been picked up until Iron Coffin. And I'm really excited because Iron Coffin is one of the funnest ideas that Kenny's come to me with. And what I'll show you here, I can't really show you any of the actual book yet, and so some of it will look different than this when the book comes out, because these are the sample pages. These are these are the preview pages that we sent as a part of our pitch. And then what you saw in the Entertainment Weekly article and on my Instagram today is a colorized version of this panel right here. But this is the pages that we used to pitch it. So this is the first page that we used to pitch it. And similar to my other pages, I did this on, I did my thumbnails on the iPad, and then I printed it onto here. I usually print in blue ink, but when I was working on this, my printer's blue ink was not working. I've gotten a new printer since then, and so I could only print in magenta, but I kind of like how the magenta looks on this. I might start just printing in that sometimes. So it's a magenta back here, and it just means when I knock out that color in you know, post-production, I just have to knock out a different sequence of numbers. But really, we just did these 2 pages in a character design, so we got the whole kind of point across. We got this big, scary Nazi train. We got a bomber dropping a coffin onto the train. And these are real zip tones on the pages. And I'll probably do some zip tones on the actual book as well. But yeah, this was such a fun idea. I remember Kenny telling me about this project. You know, we have a little group chat going with some other guys, and he said, you know, Nazi train, Iron Coffin drops onto it, Dracula gets out and fights the Nazis. Like, that was his initial just like Easter egg pitch or whatever, or taster pitch. And I was like, I'd draw that. And he's like, for real? I was like, yeah, man, I'd draw that. And he said, well, how about we do a pitch? And I said, yeah. And all the other guys are like, do it. So then Drac pops out here. We got some scared Nazis, and he's baring his teeth, ready to go. I went with the Dracula. You know, he's gonna look similar to this in the final book. Because that's still in progress, and so I can't show that. But I wanted him to have some touches of the old Dracula that we all know and love, and some of the touches that people forget about. Edison Neo's there. Hey, pal. But yeah, Dracula. He's always had a mustache. I don't know why people are confused about this, but he's always had a mustache in all the books and everything. So Kenny was like, we got to put him in the mustache. I was like, great. And then his hair changes in different adaptations you've seen. I wanted to have some really long hair that could be really expressive when we get to our action scenes and some of our horror scenes. And then instead of him wearing a cloak, I went with something that's a little more like a jacket with like some furry collar on it, so that it kind of feels a little more like maybe a military outfit for fighting in the cold, or in not a warm outfit, right? Not a jungle outfit. And lots of buckles, and really exaggerating the kind of scale of Dracula, giving him a nice tall, slender look, and make him very imposing. There's a bunch of other tricks we're going to throw out there with him. He's going to have some tactical gear and things. He's going to be communicating with some army dudes. So we're going to have some other cool things in there. The book probably straddles the line between reality and fantasy pretty large, straddling, because it's based in historical events, and there'll be, things like the Nazis' outfits and stuff might look somewhat realistic. But then we have all these fantastical elements related to the vampires and some of the other evil things that we're doing in it. So yeah, it should be a really good time. And when I did these pitch pages, I felt really good about them. And it's been in my portfolio for this last year. And any show I go to, everyone's like, what's this? And I was like, this is Operation Iron Coffin. They're like, is it a book? And I was like, not really, not yet. But then we did get the deal with IDW, and I'm really excited to be working on it. So me and Kenny and Dave, who's our editor, have been working really hard on this. And here's one of the early character designs I did. I'm definitely, like I said, pushing the proportions and stuff to make him kind of have this thinner look. I've been looking at a lot of it's a long time influence, but more directly lately looking at a lot of anime by Kawajiri, and his character designers like Koike and those guys. I love the way they exaggerate faces and hands, and the way in anime and manga characters can go from maybe a very stoic look to a more extreme kind of look when they say transform, or when they open their mouths in anger. And so I'm hoping to bring some of that into the project. It's still going to look like Tyrell, but I'm hoping to continue to evolve with the book the same way I try to evolve with every project, and try new things, and hopefully it'll be something that everyone finds really cool. I'm very excited about the prospect of a lot of the ideas that we've been working on, and I'm going to get a little chain here probably. Got some military buckles, kind of like a iron vest to keep him safe here. And he's going to have all kinds of cool powers and stuff too. So it's going to be a really fun time. And like I said, Kenny is awesome. He's such a great writer, and I feel really lucky to be working with him again. So that's a little preview of Operation Iron Coffin. I hope everybody's digging that and excited for it. We'll see how long we spend on Shirow. If we don't spend too long, I might do I have a little sketch going here of Drac that I'll see if we can, maybe work on that a little bit. But this last week at my signing, my friend came by, Dan came by the signing and said, "Hey man, I forgot to give you this." And he had gotten me this really wonderful gift while he was in Japan. He went to the Masamune Shirow art exhibition that was over there, and I had really hoped to go, but it just wasn't in the cards for me this year. Things have been really tight schedule-wise and money-wise, and so I wasn't able to go. But he got this awesome exhibition catalog, which, all these exhibition catalogs and all these things that you get from Japan, the printing is always very thoughtful, the packaging is always very thoughtful. See this sort of silvery ink on gray here of a panel underneath the dust jacket here, really cool. Same panel repeated right here. Sorry, focus, there we go. Jeremy says, "Love that stash." Thank you. Kova says, "Lovely design, appreciate it." Edison says, "Congrats." Thanks, Edison. I was just showing off one of your drawings earlier. So it's a pretty cool book. I haven't had a time to look through the whole thing in detail yet, but man, oh man, it's got some really beautiful imagery of a lot of his painted work and his black and white work. I'm gonna see if I can do this. Will this help? There we go, that's better. Come on, focus. There we go. So it's got sketches and stuff in here, which are really cool. Here's some sketches of Appleseed stuff. He has such a unique way of drawing. Cover, thumbnail ideas. The only thing I do wish is that sometimes they print these pages in here, but they're kind of printed. I mean, it's a big book, but they're kind of small. They're printed smaller than they would have been in the manga, and so you're kind of like, well, I mean, I'm seeing the original art scans, which is cool, but I wish they were a little bit bigger. But every now and again, you get some that are blown up, like this over here, and you can see not only the detail he has in his pen and ink work with his hatching and stuff, but just the intense detail that he uses, even with the screen tones. Little tiny pieces of screen tone stuck down, and then, rubbing and hatching into those. Really beautiful to look at. Some of these drawings where you see his pencils are the most impressive things, because you see a lot of Shirow stuff in finished form, but to see how an artist constructs the drawings is always really interesting to me. And I don't know, there's a lot of like freedom to his lines and looseness, but then the forms are all so very, I don't know how he does it. He has such a great sense of volume to everything he draws, especially his vehicles and his characters. But it's cool to see all these pencil drawings of the different things. It's pretty neat. Man, but like back here, these trees and this vehicle, this little drop shadow, and then the zip tone over the tires. Like, his zip tone work is so intense, and if I'm not mistaken, I mean, I know a lot of manga artists now are probably using some digital, I mean, not all of them, but I'm sure some are using digital screen tones. These are all on the paper. And when I think about how small some of these pieces are, one of the first things I learned when I started using screen tones was like, don't cut a million small pieces and put them next to each other because they're hard to work with. But somehow he's managed to make it work here. He's got, you know, a tone on the sky, a tone on the trees, a tone on the tires, a tone on this side of the truck here, tone on the buildings, tone on the background over here. It's nuts. Every page feels almost like he's painted it, but with you know, pen and ink and screen tone. It's a cool boat spread. The way it dissipates into the background here, and it looks like he's erased with a sand eraser some of the screen tones. But it's very, very neat to see all this stuff. Yeah, Jeremy says he wishes these were bigger too. Yeah, man, that would be cool. Now, I love Shirow's work. I got introduced to his work via Ghost in the Shell, which I think I discovered the anime around the same time I found some of the Ghost in the Shell books at Barnes & Noble. We would go there and look through the comics and kind of manga section over there. The manga section wasn't what it is now, but you could just walk in. I remember I could just walk in and buy Ghost in the Shell, which I did. I could just walk in and buy Domu, and I did. So a lot of things around that time that were coming out here are some of the legendary works, like those two. But one of my favorites that Shiro did, this is Dominion Tank Police, but one of my favorites is Appleseed. I think we'll see some of that in here. We've already seen some of that in here. But look at this tank. That's so wild, man. It's reminiscent of say like Toriyama, but also I see like a Cam Kennedy in there, or what's his name, Jamie Hewlett. I mean, they're probably all looking at Shiro as well, but I wonder about the cross-pollination. This is crazy right here. This tank blasting. Oh, everything about this is so good, right? So there's the Dutch angle here. You've got this blast, which is a bright spot, and you can see it's like pushing into the van because the police you know, is kind of like wild and warped as it goes in, and this is just warped just enough. Everything's just warped just enough to show that push. And then you have the tires squatting right here, and then this like you know, smoke kind of shock wave hitting the ground around it. Everything about this image is selling this launch. So the way he draws the actual flame is part of it, but then everything else is what's selling it. It's a really, really amazing illustration. Sorry, my neighbors are kind of loud up there. Another cool tank. Oh, and here's some of the pencils. This stuff is really cool. It almost looks like he draws just with just lines and forms it out. Whereas if I'm drawing a vehicle, a lot of times I'm figuring out every little like angle. I'm thinking about it in angles, and he thinks about everything as these sort of voluminous shapes. The way he penciled these tires right here, these tank treads, is so rad. I mean, inked, they look cool, but the way they're sort of loosely done here, but you still get a sense of them turning over the wheels, is really cool. I'm not gonna show everything here, but let's see what else. We got a little list of works here. I wish this came with, some of the stuff I get from Japan does come with a translation sometimes. And here's Ghost in the Shell. Zips are so hard and fun, Kova's Lookout says. Probably has an assistant stressing over them. Well, see, now that's the story with Shiro, and I don't know if this is true, is that he doesn't use assistants, or if he does, it's very, very limited. That's the story, is that he's doing all of this himself. I don't know. You know, it's hard to tell, like, what's what's the deal in some places, but the words I've heard spoken are that he does everything himself. Check this little guy out here. He's holding this machine gun that comes out of the suitcase, you remember that part? And then all these little bullets going. And then there's like a whiteout he's put sort of smudged around the bullets. So there's like heat and smoke coming out. Because when you're firing a gun fast, it starts to smoke. And there's like, heat generated in the vicinity of it. So it's pretty awesome the way he did that just for that tiny panel there. And these are some of the hand-painted pages. Oh, man, just the way the vehicles and everything have weight and they move more naturally. It's really amazing. Some of his faces are pretty great too. I might get more brave with this because I've always been amazed at how well it works in manga, but nobody does it here. But he can draw these faces that go from very sort of stylized, but within a certain degree of reality or of like the world he's built. But then he breaks that reality with kind of like chibi faces and stuff sometimes that get really. And I know that's not unique to Shirow. I know a lot of manga does that. But I think the difference is that Shirow has such precision and detail in the work that maybe comes off as a little more jarring, not in a bad way, but a more interesting juxtaposition. Whereas if you're reading something like Sailor Moon, the facial expressions changing to something way more expressive is sort of like expected and more, more in line with the overall style of the book, I guess is what I'm saying. Anyway, I don't know. Oh, and then we got these early digital things he was doing. He's interesting in that he's done so many different mediums. He's done pen and ink and painting and obviously really heavy into the digital in his later years. And you can kind of see, when you see someone work in a different medium, it's interesting because you can kind of see what the essence of their work is because it would carry across. But you also see how much, maybe your engagement with their work is the medium that they're using. Like, I prefer Shirow in black and white, right? Some of his painted stuff is cool. His digital stuff is like, it's fine. It seems like it's a little, feels a little obsessive, but I guess all this does. There's some really cool panels where I'm not sure how he's getting some of these things. Some of it might be photo stats or something, but there's some really, like, that's the thing I wish was bigger and there was an explanation for, is some of these panels where you're like, how did he do that? That's pretty cool. That's really cool. I like all these kind of cylindrical bandolier and like pop out things that he pops onto his characters, especially the cyborgs. But man, someday I'd like to try to paint some pages, but that might be a ways off. Here in this section, they have a lot of cool action stuff. There's a couple of penciled pages of the knife fight. Look at this. This is nuts. This leg is like both. It's like everything, right? It's like powerful and sensual and provocative and, rubbery and all these things. He would, he pulls the shapes too. There's so much to be learned by looking through things and seeing them in something closer to the way they were drawn. I find it to be amazing. Look at this. This is cool. More pencils. Some paintings. Let's see what else is in here. Some cool mechs. That one's not coming across on the camera very good, but it looks cool. Yeah, he's got these crazy spider mechs that he does. This section says it's called How to Draw, and I'm like, I wish I knew what it was saying. Let's see, what am I seeing here? Brent, BMC Comics, sorry I'm late. Congrats on the new project. Thanks, Brent. I appreciate that. It's okay. Lateness doesn't matter. If you're watching this tomorrow, thanks for coming anyway. If you're watching this on, Friday, thanks for coming anyway. Yeah, some of the digital stuff, especially this early stuff, I can see. I mean, I do this too. When you get a new tool, you kind of are just, you're trying to figure it out. And some of this stuff feels kind of trying to figure it out and a little bit dated. When you're on the cutting edge, it's also dangerous to you start to get dated sometimes because the technology evolves so fast. I'm getting dated just because I won't try new things. This, and this, I think were the first images I ever saw of Ghost in the Shell. I remember buying the Dark Horse single issue version with this cover, and I have another one where she's dressed as like a pirate or something, which is pretty cool. These are little chibis again. I love those little guys. These little chibi versions of the characters. So cool. Anyway, apparently this can be had for, I don't know what people consider a reasonable amount of money for something like this, but I've heard it's a little pricey, but I think you can get it on Amazon Japan maybe, and a couple other booksellers have it. So if this is something you might be into, I'd recommend it. It's a very cool little book. Or I guess I should say big book. And I like this neon design on it. It's pretty neat. Let's see here. We haven't been on here too long. Maybe I'll do just a tiny bit of drawing here. It's been a long day, but I think I would like to do a little bit of drawing. So let's grab that drawing that I was working on. Where did I put it? I started a sketchbook again, which I haven't done in ages. So that's been fun. I can't show too much in here, but let me show something. I've been working on ideas. Well, here's something really quick. People that were on my newsletter, so if you haven't subscribed to my newsletter, go to tyrellcannon.com and do that now. If you were on my newsletter or a previous backer of ERIS in the past, when the campaign went, and if you backed the campaign again, you would get a sketch, and this was me kind of warming up for doing sketches in the book. So these are sort of some of the ideas I had for sketches I could do in people's books. I wish I could just do it off the dome, but sometimes it's good to have some practice. Here's some ideas I was working on for Iron Coffin, different like character drawings and stuff. Kind of nothing nailed in. This drawing up here is nice. Yeah, different things. Just figuring it out. And today we might just do a quick one, just because I've been getting in my groove with the guy here. So we're gonna do a quick drac here. I just haven't figured out this hand first, but I haven't drawn on here for a minute, so forgive me if I blow it. Last weekend I was out of town for a couple of the days for the signings, and then weekend before that I was out of town, and then next weekend I'm out of town. So it's been feeling kind of like, my drawing groove has been a little bit off, but we'll give this a shot. We're just gonna have some fun. He's a fun character. I mean, who doesn't love some version of Dracula, right? And there's a lot of versions, and I'm not going to claim that, mine's the best or that there's one that is the biggest influence. It's more about reading sort of the ideas that Kenny is putting into the script, and then trying to channel what I think would be a cool version based on that. And then based on the original novel, because we are thinking of it as a continuation of the novel, just like another sort of version of what that character might have done. So I will be looking into, Kenny and I both have been sort of talking a lot about, well, what's the original one like? That's really what the starting point is what's that original one like? And that's not just in a way of just saying, well, I'm not saying like, oh, that's the best one or something, but there is something about that original iteration in the the Bram Stoker novel, that's what hooked people. That's what hooked people. That's what made people obsessed with Dracula to this day. So there's some gold in there, and we're trying to mine a little bit of it in our own way. Obviously, we're, I'm not sure Bram Stoker could have imagined this combo, but, I mean, who knows? If he was alive when all this was going on, who knows? I'm trying to just kind of have some fun here. I haven't made marks, and it's been a few days, because I've literally been right over there stuffing packages for like 2 days, 3 days straight, 4 days straight. I can't remember anymore. I'm losing track of time. It's been a wild, every time I do a Kickstarter, I'm reminded of it's a lot of work to do all these things. It's rewarding though, because I know when any of you get the book, you'll know that I did that, all of it, and you don't get that with other, types of mediums or other types of books where there's a machinery in place. Nothing wrong with books like that. Hey, this is a book with machinery. Oh, another thing to mention, I don't know if I mentioned it before, but not only am I doing the pen and inks for Iron Coffin, I'm also going to be coloring it. So that should be pretty cool and interesting. I've had a lot of fun working with a bunch of different colorists, and I've learned a lot, and I don't think I'm not saying that I'm the best colorist in the world, but I have a lot of really cool ideas about what we're going to be able to do with the colors in Iron Coffin. And so when I was given the option, I thought, well, I think I'll try this one, I'll try this one and see, because when I know that I'm going to be coloring it, like say with ERIS, I can try some different things that I might not do if I wasn't coloring it. Things that if you're if you're working with a colorist, you want to make sure that the line art is very clear and that everything is very, all the important information as far as light and dark is in there in the line art. And I still do that to some degree, but when I have the ability to color myself, I might take advantage of that, knowing, okay, I'll definitely knock this back with a color hold so I can put some detail here, or I'll definitely make this a really dark color so it doesn't matter if I hatch it here or whatever. Little things like that that are kind of fun to play with when you're in control of the whole thing. It is a lot more work, so I don't plan to be late with this book, but if I am, blame the coloring phase, because that's the part that I'm the least familiar with. But that being said, I'm optimistic. I was really happy with how the colors in ERIS Chapter 3 turned out, and I think y'all will like them too. I don't know if you can even see what I'm knocking in right here, but you will once I start erasing. We're going to give him a rough hand there. That'll be pretty rough, but hey, we'll figure it out. Okay, get these eyeballs. I've been trying to figure out how I want the eyes to look. And again, Kawajiri is really the thing I'm looking at the most right now. But I'm always looking at people like Jason Pearson and Michael Golden as well, and trying to find that balance of scale and intensity and mystery and all the things you want in eyes. And you don't get it every time, but sometimes you get it, and it works. Alright, that's going to do it for that part. I've been drawing with that Tombow a little more lately. I really like it. Edison Neo says, completely relate. The color part is the part I look forward to the least. It's funny, I kind of like coloring, but the part that makes it hard for me when I'm doing everything else, which I'm going to have to work through with this project, is by the time you get to the colors, you've already spent so much time with it. through the thumbnailing and then the penciling and the inking, that you're just like, man, another thing, right? And the other thing I do is a lot of times I'll paint myself in a corner, in the sense that I'll think of something really cool I want to do, and I'll start to do it in the inks and the pencils and everything, and then when I get to the colors, I realize, oh man, this requires a lot of work at this stage too. There was some pages in ERIS where I wasn't willing to compromise. I made myself do it, right? I was like, you're gonna color all these bodies, you're gonna make all these speed lines, you're gonna do all this stuff, and I think it pays off. But in the middle of it, sometimes I was sitting there coloring. I was a month deep in just coloring it, and I was like, man, what in the world did I do here? But of course, that was all between other gigs, and so it made it feel a lot longer. When you can zero in, it helps out, I think. So if anybody was at the presentation the other night, thanks for coming. But a lot of you, I'm sure, weren't, because I was there and I didn't see you all. And I might try to figure out a way to show the same. I kind of did a slideshow and talked through it, and I might see if I can find a way to do that here on the live stream. I'm sure it's not that difficult, but I haven't done any of my screen share stuff yet or set it up. But yeah, maybe I can show you guys the slideshow on here and give you a sense of what the talk was kind of all about. Yeah, we'll see. Nick Forrest, hi Tyrell, congrats on the new gig. Thanks, man, I appreciate it. Edison says, it feels like the time spent coloring could have been used on getting better at drawing. Yeah, well, that's true. And it would be a third or fourth pass over the same page just to get, yeah. No, totally, Edison. I will say, if anything, though, for me, the light at the end of the tunnel has been that I have seen myself get faster and struggle less with it. Because I think the big part of what I struggled with in doing the colors is it's like deciding what colors to use. Like, that's the part that's hard, right? It's like the rendering and stuff is whatever, that's fine, I can do that, and I can make that fast or slow depending on how much detail I want to put in it. But the thing that is a lot more difficult is just deciding, like, well, what's this foreground color going to be and what's this background color going to be? And like, if my character is this color, what color can I use behind them? Or how can I make their costume still look like their costume even though it's maybe in a different shade because of the light that's happening? Those are the decisions and stuff that really make me crazy. That's the hard part of coloring. It's kind of like, the more I've done comics too, I feel that I think the hardest part now, and the part where I spend more time than I probably used to, and probably more time than I do on some of the other parts, is the thumbnails. I really want those locked in a good way before I move to the final art, because one thing I've found is that one thing that does slow me down a whole lot is if I don't know what I'm doing when I get to the page, right? And I don't have an overall flow for what I think the book's going to look like. So I'm usually locking in my thumbnails with a lot more kind of time investment than I used to. It used to be something I would try to get done pretty quick, and then I would kind of figure it out on the page as I went. And that's fine, but for me, I think that was just a slower way of doing it in the long run. And then also I ended up redrawing things, which I still redraw things sometimes now, but I ended up redrawing a lot of things because they didn't work in a storytelling sense. It might have been a cool drawing, but the storytelling of it was no good. Just trying to get some black shapes in here. It is an action book, but it's more of a horror book too. And so, I'm hoping to do some dark, I'm not hoping to. I'm doing some dark scenes and stuff in it, and I'm really hoping to use some heavy shadow, kind of like what I was doing at the end of the Schlub and on this other project that I haven't been able to talk about. But yeah, we're gonna make it nice and violent, but also just like kind of scary, I mean, what's scarier than Nazis and what's scarier than Dracula, right? And like, they're both gonna have things that are scary, about them. But I hope everybody's been well. It's been, like I said, it's been a minute since I've been on. Things have just been, busy. It's been very busy, and I can't complain about being busy. And the things I was working on this last month, which I guess that's kind of been announced too. I guess I think I can't remember if I mentioned it last time or not, but I'm going to be doing the art for issue 8 of Aubrey Sitterson and Jed Doherty's Free Planet. So if you guys are not following that book, you should really start picking it up. I will be doing art on issue 8 of that, and it is awesome. It's going to be so cool. I don't know what else they've said other than that, because I think I saw there was an interview where they mentioned, like, Aubrey mentioned it, so I guess I can say it, but I'm not going to show any of the art until I get sort of the go-ahead from them. But yeah, I believe I saw them announce that in an interview the other day. And that's all done, and I colored a cover for that. That's why I was thinking about it, is there's this cover I colored for those guys, and I ended up having a hard time deciding on the final colors, and so I just did 2 finished versions with different colors. I mean, the rendering and stuff's the same, but I was like, well, do you want this blood to be this color or this color? And I just left it up to them to decide. That's when it's nice to have collaborators. Kovas Look At says that would be dope. Nick Force says life is crazy busy at New York City Comic Con is this weekend. That's right. Are any of you guys going to New York City Comic Con? I am not, but I do think some of my buddies will be there. I went last year and it was a good time, but I don't think I can do that show every year for a lot of reasons. I mean, mostly that it's a far show and an expensive show. But I'm really hoping that maybe I can do it next year. Like maybe not every year, maybe every other year or something. I think next year I will be planning to make the rounds at some shows to promote Iron Coffin. So I am hoping to see some of y'all out there in the wild this year. Because I only did, like 2 shows this year, so I didn't really get out much. I've just been so busy. But I'm really hopeful that I can be out and about next year a little bit. Maybe I'll do 5 shows, 4 shows at least. I haven't decided which ones yet. I should probably start applying for them now, huh? It looks like some of y'all were at some great shows. I've seen some of you folks in the chat posting that you did some good shows. If you have any recommendations, let me know. Because I've done a lot of shows in my time, but I mean, a lot of the shows I've done are not around anymore. And a lot of the shows I've done, it's been long enough that I haven't done them that I'm sure they're different. So I'm always curious to hear what people's thoughts are on what the good shows are, which ones they have a good time at or enjoy. Okay, that was maybe one too many, but here we go. We'll fix it. It'll be fine. Mick says, I'll miss you this year. You were a highlight of my con. Well, thanks, man. That's great. Nice of you to say. Ichthus is here. Total excellence. I like that you have a catchphrase, man. I wish I had one. Maybe someday. Maybe I'll be cool someday. Okay, I think we're going to use a lot of black down here. I'm going to keep this pretty loose. Like I said, we're having fun tonight. I have a date with, I started VHS Halloween last night, but I didn't finish it yet, so I want to finish that. So no spoilers if you've seen it, but it just popped up yesterday, I think, day before. And yeah, I always watch the new VHS movies, so I'm about halfway through it. I'll report back next time with what I thought, so if y'all want to watch it before then, that'd be cool. Hey, I just want to call out again. There's some people here in the chat that were part of the ERIS project, like Edison and Jeremy and folks, and contributed art to it. And I really appreciate that. You know, I was looking at the book earlier today. You know, sometimes I'll just pick it up and be like, "This is real! Oh my gosh! You know, I finally did it." And it's really nice to see other people's takes on the characters, and you know, all the art that folks did was really cool. I got some really cool pinups. Some of them I have in real life, which is awesome. I've been meaning to try to get some of those framed up and put some up here in the studio. I just have so little wall space right now because half the studio walls are windows in here, and so I just don't have a lot of wall space to hang up stuff. But I would really like some of those pieces up. Alright, I think we're going to need a little bit of white on this, as usual. He's got this like furry kind of coat. Like it's kind of a red furry interior to the coat. And I thought that would be cool, kind of like a softness around the kind of hard sharpness of Drac. Cobra's Lookout says, it's crazy that VHS is still going on. I haven't seen it since VHS 2. Yeah, you know, I like them. I think they're cool. I mean, they're not all good, but they're not all bad either. I would say as a whole franchise, an anthology franchise, they've gone a lot further than other anthology franchises. Because so many of those fall apart on the second one. And I think VHS 2 is probably the strongest one out of all of them. But 1, 2, and 3 are solid, and then when Shudder bought it, it definitely changed. But there's some real gems in some of those later ones, man. There's especially a couple good ones in '99 and in '94. '85 was all right. Beyond has a couple good ones too, if you're into aliens and stuff, which, as you guys know, I am. But sorry, I just got a thought here. But I would recommend checking them out if you've never watched. That's gone. If you never watched three's definitely worth watching. I don't know about the other ones, you know, depending on your stomach for the goofiness of some of them. But there's a lot of good practical effects in all of them too, which I like. You know, it's nice to see stuff that's not all CG. I mean, some of them have CG, but I think I would say check them out. That's my recommendation. Check them out. There's a really good vampire one in VHS 99. That's I think it's 99. It's 99 or 94. About these like militia guys that have captured this vampire. And it's all shot on actual VHS as opposed to most of the other ones in the series that are not shot on VHS. And it's just funny the way these militia guys deal with this vampire and what happens, and that one's pretty good. There's a couple with vampire-like things in them in that series. I think Shudder had a good. It was good. It was a good idea of Shudder to buy something like that you can just come up with a cheap product every Halloween to have on television, or you know, like nobody does that anymore. Like I miss the Halloween releases of horror movies. There's got to be something coming up this year, right? I mean, is anybody doing that this year? Probably some kind of like Sinister or Conjuring or something. Horror movies and shows have the leeway to not require a huge budget. Yeah, exactly. You get it. So anybody else working tonight, or y'all just hanging out? We're gonna have a fun drawing here, I think, by the end. Something quick and dirty. Oh, and the other comics they were announcing looked pretty cool too. I really liked Smile, the movie, and I'm curious what the comic will be like. Oh yeah, has anybody checked out that Event Horizon comic? I'm intrigued because I like Event Horizon, but I also don't know if the preview images had me hooked, so I hadn't picked it up yet. Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's working. I think that's working. Jeremy's working. Of course he is. Edison's working. Of course he is. That's how you guys keep getting better. You're always working. Page 45. So Edison, can you tell us anything about what you're working on? Other than that you're on page 45? Is it something I can actually buy? That I can support you and buy? Is it going to be something like that? That would be awesome. Or is it like a cool web thing? It's free? Is it with a publisher? Can you say anything about it? I was spilling all kinds of tea this weekend. I was being bad. I was when I was signing at In This Issue Comics, I forgot to mention the other guy that was signing there with me is a guy that I've heard about many times because we have a mutual friend and the shop owner, but also I had seen his work, and that's Eric Gapster. You guys might have seen his work on Spider-Man. He's done some other stuff at Marvel, Fantastic Four thing, I think, some of the Infinity stuff. But he was a really cool guy, really nice dude. We were sitting next to each other all day signing, and he's a really good dude. Eric Gapster. Jeremy says Smile 2 is great. Agreed. Kova, I would say watch Smile 2 first and then Smile 1. That's what I did. And I liked them both. But I think I like Smile 2 better. I don't know if that's the popular opinion or the unpopular opinion, but that's how I feel about it. I think 2's maybe a little bit better, but they're both good. The next one I need to see is Bring Her Back, because I finally watched, not even that long ago, like a month ago, I watched what's the other one called, where they shake the hands with the thing. Anyway, I watched that one and I liked it a lot, so I was excited to watch this new one, Bring Her Back. Alright, I think we're going to sharpen up just a little bit of this, and then we might keep it pretty simple. He's kind of grimacing a little bit here, and I'm okay with that, but I feel like that's the only problem, is this is a weird tangent. And you know me, I don't care about tangents, but right here it's bothering me. This is going to need fixed. Don't tell Dan that I'm worrying about tangents. He's always telling me about tangents, and I'm like, whatever, man. But this is a situation where I have to take the advice. There we go. And then we'll black that in. Yeah, there we go. Ooh, this fresh Pro White is nice. I was on the end of that last bottle for months, it seemed like, and it was getting annoying. This one is very nice. Okay. Where's my cat? There it is. No cat. It's a creator-owned project with Vault Comics. Hey, that's awesome, Neo. Working with a writer on a story about cryptid hunters. Love it. I love cryptids. If I'm not wrong, it's going to be released as a graphic novel at one go. 160 pages. Dang, bro. Dang, bro. Well, keep us posted on that one, man. I love cryptids. I love your art. And I like long comics. 160 pages, man. You take care of yourself, buddy. 160 pages in one go. That's you've done a man's job, sir. You know, like, give yourself a break, man, because that'll eat you alive if you don't be careful. Take breaks. Make milestones for yourself. That's all I'm saying. Take breaks and make milestones so that when you're halfway through, you're still able to keep going. I can't think what the longest I did in one go is. Probably the Schlub, and that's only 140 maybe. And that had a lot of breaks in well, it came out on time every month, but in the making process there was a few breaks in there. I think I'm just gonna knock more black into the side over here. Just make it feel solid for a change. Let's do that. Hey, maybe we could even get Edison over here for a show. That'd be cool. Let's just black that in right there. Let's just get some nice dark areas in here. Horror is in it bag this year. Sinners was one of the best. Him was good. I didn't see him. It's not released monthly and it's not announced yet, so I don't have a creeping pressure. Yeah, that's good, man. That's good. That's the other thing, man. It's like I feel like so many times publishers put people in this position where they're gonna fail. They just put them in a position where they're never gonna meet the deadlines. And so I try to be pretty upfront, like with what I need as far as time. And if I get the right amount of time, I shouldn't be late. You know, I mean, obviously things happen, and sometimes you're late, right? But you shouldn't be like super late all the time if you've thought about how long it takes. At least that's what I think, but what do I know? Anyway, I'm glad you're planning appropriately. That's good. You ever get those eye itches that are just like, ugh? Something like that, maybe. That's kind of cool. So there also is probably going to be a big just, anime influence on this in my own way. That's definitely what I've been looking at a lot while I'm working on it. But I also wanted to have sort of a Magnolia vibe and like a little bit of maybe like Kelly Jones or, they're good at finding black shapes in their work, and that's something I definitely am always trying to improve on, and so that's why I've been looking at their stuff a lot. So hopefully that'll channel in. Kelly Jones in particular is really good at having those really great shapes that would probably be fine just as flat shapes like a Magnolia would do it, but then he also finds ways to mix in little bits of texture and hatching and stuff with that, but not in a way where they're fighting with each other. It's like a really neat juxtaposition that he's able to do. And I've just been studying a lot of that lately, looking at a lot of his stuff. That's my comic nerd moment for you for today. I like to try to pick some influences though for projects when I start them, so that I have some sort of like something to help answer questions when they come up, like what's a car look like in this world, or what's a gun look like in this world, and then you can sort of look to those influences and say, well, how did they solve it, or what's the reality of it in the case of like using some reference or something, and then take that and push it in whatever direction you want it to go. Oh yeah, I mean Edison, a show on my YouTube channel for sure, but I also meant just a show in the real life world. But yeah, dude, I've been wanting to start having guests on here, but I have just not had the time to really. And I'm sure it won't be super complicated, but I know it'll be enough that I need a day or two to kind of figure out how I'm going to make it work, and make sure my gear is in order before I can do it. And I just haven't had the time to devote to that. But absolutely, this winter, I'm hoping that I can invest a little more time into some of the live streaming stuff, and maybe get even some better gear, that the camera can maybe be a little bit better. I don't know. I mean, I know this one's not the best, but it's not terrible. Well, that's really cool, Edison. Very excited for you, man. I'm very excited for you. My buddy Ryan did a book at Vault called Goobers, which was really cool. Okay, there we go. Yeah, there we go. That's fun. Alright, a couple more little delicate touches here, and then we're gonna let this guy have just a fun ending to his evening. Maybe just something here. Yeah. He is a lot of fun to draw. And the more I draw him, the more I'm like, this is going to be cool. Yeah, man. I might have to go watch Vampire Hunter D as well tonight. You know what? Why not? Just like just a little bit of zip tone. I have more coming. Although they just emailed me and they were like, "What's your address?" I'm like, "I gave you my address like 4 times. Send me my zip tones." I think I got one over here that'll fit this. I'm on scraps, man. I'm on scraps. Oh, man. Seriously, man. Here we go, here we go. What does that look like? Heck, I never use that. Maybe I'll mess with that for a second. What do these do it? Oh heck, let's try this weird thing first. Well, Edison, you just gotta get super famous and they'll fly you over from wherever you're at. I can't remember where you're at. I remember sending you a package. I can't remember the address. Not that I would put your address on blast here on the stream anyway. This one obviously hasn't been opened before. I don't know, what about something like that? Would that be weird? What would this look like? Maybe something like that. Let's try it. All right, here we go. This might look bad. Let's see. Come on now. Here we go. Honestly, Edison, with the way things are going over here, you might not want to come over here. Anyway. Alright, let's see what this looks like. Watch it look really bad. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. Maybe. Let's take this off and see. All right. Well, hey, you know. Yeah, I was looking at Eric Gapster. He had brought his portfolio with him. We both had. And looking through his stuff, it's so clean, man. Ah, it's just so clean. All of his lines are just like. I mean, he was an inker for a long time, and so I just think his proficiency with the tools is so high. You know, so high. All right. Okay, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm going for that. All right. The cool thing about Dracula, there's a lot of cool things about Dracula, but one of the cool things about Dracula is that he means a lot of different things to a lot of different people based on how they were exposed to him, you know? And it might, for a minute, it might have seemed intimidating to like take on something like Dracula. It's had so many different takes, but it's like that's really the magic of the character. And so, you know, there's nothing to worry about, right? And then like there's always going to be more and more and more, right? And all of them have something that is going to be tapped into that original idea that we all connected with, and maybe you can learn something new about it, you know, via this strange new take. But Kenny's been cooking up some really cool stuff. Oh, god darn it, this one's not wanting to come off. brittle. What's the deal, man? There we go. Yeah, this one's been in the drawer too long. On the hot days. There we go. Oh, yeah. All right. But then Gapster was looking at my stuff, and he was like, "Are those real screen tones?" I was like, "Yeah, man." And he was saying he had never really used those, but he had seen them on some, some pages and stuff from old comics, which the older ones, I think it was called like Letraset or something like that, and it was like an adhesive would put it on, and so over time those ones yellowed. It looks kind of cool, but if you look through, say, even the Jim Lee art book, the X-Men artist edition one, you'll see that some of the stuff yellowed on those pages, which is kind of cool. I mean, I know it's not like, ooh, it's not archival or whatever, but I'm like, I don't know, man. It's paper. Even the best paper is not going to last that long. So, I don't know. I like to see the stuff that's aged like that. Alright. Ooh, yeah. See? That's the magic right there. It gives you just like that neutral thing, but also with like a little bit of texture and a gradient. And honestly, that's the thing too, like I was saying before, if I'm coloring myself, I can plan for stuff like that the way I would by using a screen tone, but I can just do it with the color or a combination of the two. So in this case, I would probably be also adding a lot of another layer of shade in like a mid-tone, so that it really has kind of this like 2D animation sort of layered shading effect. I mean, I guess some people might say that's like cell shaded, but I don't really mean cell shaded. I mean I mean what they mean when they say cell shaded. I mean like it was actually made on cells that overlap each other. That's what I mean. Why am I not using the bone folder, guys? Come on. Help me out here. Okay. Oh, he's gonna be so cool, y'all. Like you're gonna love this Drac. You're gonna love this Dracula, I promise you. Like, when's the last time Dracula just fucking just like slapped so hard, like was just owned everybody. That's what we got for you, man. He's gonna be a scary individual. And the horrors will not stop with him, There's lots of horrors that will confront you with. Oh yeah, we're about done here, y'all. This is looking good. This is exactly what I needed. Something chill, a little bit sloppy, a little bit just like, yeah. See, little bits of this coming off. There you go. There you Oh, wait. Gotta do this. Oh, yeah. Yep. Come on now. Come on now. Get in there. Alright, we need to do a couple more things here. And you know what? I forgot to scratch that hair. Yeah, man. Look at him. He's cool, man. He's cool. All right, folks. I really appreciate everybody supporting me and hanging out on the channel while I draw, and I really appreciate all the folks that backed ERIS, and I'm very excited for you to get your stuff. If you haven't liked and subscribed, as I put this away, if you haven't liked and subscribed, you need to go do that right now. And I will hopefully see y'all in maybe a couple weeks on Tuesday with some more exciting news about all these projects that are going on. And congratulations to all you dudes out there that are having your cool opportunities come up, Edison and everybody.